you have something to say on something that's not on the agenda, you have 2 minutes to speak, and Andy's going to be the timekeeper. You know, the officers had some public relations message or comments they want to make, so you guys would also do it during the public comment. So I'll just recognize people individually. If you want to take the officers first, we can do that.
Okay, I'm Officer Minneray, and I'm new to Northeast Division, but this is our area that we patrol.
I'm Officer Padilla at Northeast Division. We're a partner. We'll be attending a lot of the meetings here as well. So.
Great.
And I guess I heard from the senior lead that you guys are involved in some youth program that you're interested in funding for the summer. And I guess you said you'll make more former presence as you go forward to try to bring those.
Yes, we're going to be focusing on the youth program, and not only that, we're going to be focusing on the traffic in the area, pedestrian traffic. You know, the big issue with parking as well. So any concerns that you guys have for future meetings, we're going to be here and just address it to us, and we'll focus on that pertaining to you guys. So that's going to be our main thing.
Business card.
I do have business card. I was getting one.
Great, thanks.
Can I ask a question about part of my comment?
You know what? We'll give a little time for we have a pretty tight schedule today, but if you could go ahead and ask it quickly, or you could address them
You can
later
address
on.
us after as well too.
Yeah, maybe that's better just because unfortunately, several people have things bracketing into the meeting. We also have to have the chairs back in the MRCA area by a certain time. So are there other public comments off agenda? I'll take Ceci first and then Ed Rostock.
Hi, my name is Ceci Dominguez, and I've lived in this community for a little under 50 years. We've been to many meetings. We've had a lot of meetings going on privately and publicly. There's a lot of issues in our community right now, very important issues. And it seems because of the conflict that we're having with the different groups that we meet with, we're not able to fully engage in these issues. I'm asking people when we are coming to the tables that we, especially when there's issues that community people are addressing, board also, but community people, that we really try to focus right now on what's going on and engage in those issues. If we don't, it will be tabled to the following month. And I'm talking about developments that are going on in this community, which is very, it's surprising. I don't believe the majority of us knew how many were going on and what's going to happen. How many people will be coming in here? The bike path, safety, tickets. And also I'd like to address our officers. We also live in this community. We have streets that say you can park only 2 hours. That's wrong. Our neighbors do not have driveways. We, some time ago, worked with the LAPD not to cite certain streets because of the fact that our neighbors have to move their cars every 2 hours. So, and that was for business, to get trucks in, okay? So I just want to say, let us try to be cohesive. Let us try to get these issues listened to and resolved so we can be productive. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you, Ceci. I'll take Ed Rostock's comment.
I want to second what Ceci just said. I think it's super important that we come together as a community as much as possible on the things we agree on and forget about the things we cannot agree on. Okay, we have an agenda item proposal. I didn't hand that out to everyone. Real quickly, I'll tell you what it's about. And I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. One of the things that bothered me about both Alessandro and Bimbo was the easy access that pedestrians and children are going to have to the bike path for safety. But another angle, we know that children have lost their lives in this river during floods. I assume the county flood control, the Army Corps of Engineers are concerned about them. So that one way of looking at density, we really want 3,000 people along this path that can jump into the river when it's flooding. I'm exaggerating, I know that. But I suggest that at least it be investigated to see if it's worthwhile to talk with those agencies. Probably, I don't know if I put it in fire and police as well as what I have listed there.
Okay, thank you, Ed. And Mr. Leland.
Just a quick comment. If I heard correctly, Ceci referred to the bike path in quote. I'd like to clarify, this is a bike pedestrian path.
Yes, it is.
And I hope it continues to be
Concession
as such. And the officers are here. I'd like to mention what motor vehicle code, bikes are supposed to are referred to as vehicles. They're supposed to obey all the laws that vehicles, owners or drivers have to obey. And that's not the case on the path. They're going fast, bikes are colliding with pedestrians, and we had no one monitoring that situation. There was a serious accident, there was an elderly lady, and as I heard, the bike rider just left the scene. I don't know if that's correct or not, that's what the school says, but we need law enforcement to enforce the law along the bike path.
Thank you. Any other general public comments? Yes, Mr. Montalvo.
Okay, I just want to submit this to the agenda, request for the items to be put on tonight, and also for the petition. If you have any questions, just give me a message.
We'll just take a look at these and deal with them when we get to that agenda item, which is coming right up. So are there any other public comments? Okay, we're going to move. Yes.
Have some time.
I noticed that we got some papers from Alley House. They gave it to me at the Neighborhood Watch, and I see that there's 14 different nonprofit organizations, including yourself, which is not nonprofit. And I wanted to know if you can let us know how we can start one, a nonprofit for us, so that we can let everybody know in the community about the meetings, and be able to make posters and be able to get money from that has been allocated to our district, so that we can get the word out and have all of the community come out. It's close to 9,000 people, so that their voices can be heard.
So, I think in this case, this is a good one to respond to just because it is such general public interest. I'll just say, nonprofit, we don't have anything to do with formation of it. It is a process that the federal government makes to have a nonprofit organization. So there are community resources, and Danny may have some about how you can form a nonprofit organization. I also think it's very important as a matter of clarity to state that the Elysian Valley Riverside Neighborhood Council is not in any way associated with Majority of F.R.O.G. So though there was some participation, in other words, Elysian Valley Riverside Neighborhood Council brought its recommended revisions to zoning to one of the events, and some individual members participated. We, in fact, took a position that this was not an entity that we would personally install ourselves with. So I think with that, do you have some references for nonprofit groups?
I mean, I would just say
nonprofit formation.
It would definitely take a lot of planning on the part of whoever wants to start that kind of nonprofit. It's definitely a work-heavy kind of process to start a nonprofit. So, I mean, what I've always kind of advocated is there are existing nonprofits in Elysian Valley. I know Elysian Valley United is no longer as active as it was before, but maybe hooking up with some of those other groups. But otherwise, it will take a lot of hard work on the part of whoever wants to start it, because it is like a federal and state process.
Is there a better way for you guys
There is. I
to
would.
let people know about this and all the other
So
meetings?
I think
There's some people who are trying to organize Friends of Elysian Valley.
Okay.
You could talk to some of the people in the group who.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is a great conversation for folks to follow up on after the meeting. Are there any more public comments? And we only get one per public comment period. Anyone else? Okay, so we're going to go ahead. The purpose of the meeting today, we basically have three agenda items. Agenda number 3, we're on number 3 now, is to take in and consider any possible items for next month's agenda. That would be next Thursday, or third Thursday of the month, at Dora's Place. So I'm first going to have executive committee members mention if you guys have any agenda items that have been. I'm sorry, the meeting next week is at Alessandro, not Dora's Place, my error. It used to be, so it gets confusing. Thanks.
I'll say the process we had before was I would make a call on Friday to the neighborhood, like through the outreach emails, and then I would get input from people. I didn't make that call because we're having that meeting, so people are expected to show up with their items here. So I have like nothing other than to remind us that we have to vote on the funding, which will be January funding and February funding, or January funding.
Okay. So that'll be within the finance reports. I'm going to go through the list of things that I received as chair. I had a request from Jeff Klein, our outreach chair, to make a short presentation outlining something about how neighborhood council works. He sent me a PowerPoint. I think I'm going to suggest, I'll just list them, then we can talk about it. We have our normal committee reports, the land use committee, the outreach committee. There is an ad hoc web committee that I think we need to hear from. And all the normal committees, including the finance committee, which we'll list as a separate item to receive those finance reports. I know there's a proposal coming out of the outreach committee about a health fair. I think we'll agendize that as a separate, we could consider agendizing that as a separate item. We have a very important, so now we're up to 4 items. It's very important that we have a review of the current last year's grants, that some of which are still hung up in Department of Neighborhood Empowerment process, as well as develop a schedule for submission of this year's neighborhood purposes grants. For those of you guys that don't know, what you're talking about is exactly this. The neighborhood council gets a certain amount of money every year, $37,000. A very small amount of it goes to meetings, like when we have food there or bottles of water, whatever. A small amount of it goes to our operations. It's usually every year, it's like less than $1,000. Then the rest of the money usually gets allocated to groups that do beneficial things for the neighborhood, like there's been the extension of the skate park hours that we funded, recreation programs for youth, some art classes for youth, and various other organizations, Doris Place School. We can't list all that, but anyhow, right now we're in a cycle to get that money allocated for this fiscal year, which will close out in June. So just so you understand, that's what we're talking about. And then I have a specific proposal that I brought in general terms before about a way to record our meetings so that people could have a way of finding exactly what was said at meetings. It's a piece of software that allows people to go and, item 1, push a button, it'll go to that. You can hear the whole thing, so that if something's missed in the meeting minutes, they can get it. And there's going to be a funding implication on that. I'm going to suggest we spend some money on it. And then, the website vendor proposal, we need to get that moved on. And then the one item that I've heard the most from the community in the last months, in fact last year, is how to work forward to put controls on density of development, new developments in the area. And so Neighborhood Council put a proposal forward last year. Neighborhood Council pushed that proposal forward. It's with the Planning Department. As I hear from community members, nothing is more important, so I'm interested in agendizing a rehearing of what that issue is, so that people can have public comment on it, and then the board to consider what should we do to push forward the proposal that we made over a year ago and is kind of hung up in planning.
Can we request